Hi, I'm Akash Kashyap, and today we're going to be talking about another form of contract in the entertainment industry, the inter-artist agreement. Now, in many creative fields, it's either unusual or impractical to go it alone, so to speak. You need the help of others. So whether it's part of a performance group, a band, or some other type of collective, you will be going at your career with a group of other creatives. However, when your works, your obligations, and your professional careers are so intertwined, there is always a high chance of conflict and for that conflict to turn destructive. In order to avoid destructive outcomes, such groups will engage in inter-artist agreements. These are agreements that are going to allocate the roles and responsibilities of the members, that are going to describe how rights and profits are allocated, and handle what happens in the event of termination, whether one member leaves or if the group as a whole is dissolved. So let's take a look at how these agreements are structured, and first talk about the roles and responsibilities that are allocated within an inter-artist agreement.
In an inter-artist agreement, the responsibilities refer essentially to the allocation of duties between the members of the performance group, band, or other collective of creatives. Now, these responsibilities can generally fall under 4 headings. The first, the most central to their presence in that group, is the creative, and this can include obligations to perform and obligations to record. The second heading is promotional. This is their obligations to participate in the selling and the promotion of the collective's work. This can include press obligations, this can include restrictions on their use of social media, and general non-disparagement clauses, restrictions on their ability to badmouth or negatively impact the sale of that group's work. Third heading is tours. This is where they go to perform, exhibit, or share their work across various geographic regions. And this will allocate their requirement to be available for such tours, the notice that is due to each member for such tours, and their right or any prohibitions on their ability to take breaks. Finally, there's a restriction on the behavior of the members. This includes restrictions on them engaging in conduct that will result in a negative image or a negative impact on the group, which can include legal issues, overall image management to fit the collective's brand, and occasionally sobriety requirements to ensure that the artists are able to function and contribute in their right state of mind.
So now that we've got a bit of an idea as to how roles and responsibilities can be laid out in an inter-artist agreement, let's talk about the flip side of that, the allocations. What each member is going to get out of it, whether that's in the form of credit, in the form of ownership, or in the form of profits.
So allocations in an inter-artist agreement refer essentially to how the various assets and incomes of that group or collective are to be split amongst the members or the parties of the inter-artist agreement. Now, there are 3 things essentially that are to be divvied up. The first is credit. Essentially, how is everyone credited? What title are they credited in? And in what order are they credited? Second, ownership. Who actually owns the copyright on the works? Who owns the copyright on any of the brands? This can be brands such as lines of works or the overall brand, the name, logo, and other creative aspects that signify the collective as a whole. And third, and potentially most importantly, is the allocation of profits. Now, this is an incredibly specific aspect that is often drafted very carefully, and it describes how profits are to be calculated, what profit will be allocated to what work if profits are to be divided by work, and how they deal with additional profits, such as merchandising profits, name rights, advertisements, touring profits, etc.
Now, when it comes to the day-to-day operation of the group, this is sufficient. The roles and responsibilities tell each member what they have to contribute, and the allocations tell what each member gets in return. However, the agreement also has a responsibility to handle what happens in the event of termination, whether it's one member leaving the group or the group as a whole dissolving. Let's take a look at how the agreements can handle this.
When it comes to the termination of an individual, there are some key aspects that need to be looked into. First, how much notice must any individual give before terminating their relationship to the collective? And when they have terminated, what outstanding obligations do they have, both with regards to the promotion of work that they participated in the creation of and the performance of work, both the performance of creative works that are still in progress and need their presence to complete, and live performances or exhibitions that they are already obligated to show up for. You also need to look at the rights they have over the various works produced by the group. Now, this includes their rights over works that are completed and released, works that are completed but not yet released, and works that are incomplete but that they have contributed to. Now, when it comes to the termination of the group as a whole, there are similar calculations that have to go in, but with the understanding that there's much more of the band to divide up. Now, again, you do have to deal with how the rights over works are to be divvied up. Those that are completed and released, those that are yet to be released but complete and ready for release, and those that are incomplete and likely won't be completed. Who owns the various contributions to that work, and how is it to be allocated out? Beyond this, though, you also have to deal with the allocation of the brands and other overall assets of the group. If, for example, your band is breaking up, who owns the right to use the band's name? Who owns the right to use their logo? Who owns the right to sell merchandise that relates to the brand? Similarly, there is to be a final tallying up of profits and losses, and whichever way the accounting goes, black or red, that also needs to be allocated amongst the members, and the inter-artist agreement has to provide for how it is to be calculated and how it is to be allocated.
So inter-artist agreements handle a large part of how members in a creative group are going to be handling one another, what their individual roles and responsibilities are, what each of them will be allocated, whether in the form of costs, ownership, or benefits, and how the band will operate if one person leaves or if the group as a whole dissolves. It's very important when you're undertaking a creative work with others to enter into an inter-artist agreement. While it may not seem like conflict could ever be on the horizon, if you look at the statistics, conflict is inevitable. And to make it go as smoothly and as clearly as possible, ensure that you have an inter-artist agreement in place. We, again, would advise you to consult an entertainment attorney in order to discuss the formation and to create your own inter-artist agreement.
Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please feel free to give us a like, share a comment with any thoughts or any future topics that you'd like us to explore, and subscribe for more legal information coming soon.